Alrighty. Um, I don't really know how to start this. First time I've ever done something like this. I think that this would be typically viewed as a podcast, but that's not my objective here. I came up with this idea last year. And I didn't really follow through with it during the season, but I told myself that I needed to do it after the season. So what my plan is, um, to do with this is to kind of like a video journal in the sense that I will I don't know. I've gotten to where I don't slow down enough and I don't take everything in, I believe. So with this style of video, I can post this and I will be able to publish it to YouTube. And I can go back and 10 years from now and I can say, all right, what did I do? What did this season? What happened this week? What happened this day? So that's why I say it's not really a podcast, more or less kind of like a video journal that I plan on posting, obviously. So with that being said, I probably will eventually have friends on and do the same thing. Um, and that way we can kind of bounce off of each other and say, all right, we learned this and we learned that. But I don't really, I think the podcast game is so watered down. The hunting industry is catching up, I think, with the rest of the world. Um, I don't really want to do that. I kind of want to go my own way. So I don't know, it's a weird mix. Anyways, all that to say, um, I think this is, I think this is something I would enjoy doing. I'm getting to where, like I said, I move too fast. I'm in and out. I'm gone all the time. I don't ever just sit down and lock in on what's going on or take in everything that's going on. Mainly hunting. I'm talking about. But with that being said, this is going to be a recap of my entire season, the good, the bad, and a lot of ugly. Um, I it was a weird year. It was the most roller coaster year I've ever had. It was the most effort I've ever put into a season, and that is not an exaggeration. I put a lot more hours this past year, into it than ever before. And it paid off in a way, but I came up short in a lot of other ways. Um, but yeah, so I'll just start from the beginning, I guess. Over this last summer, I really I just bought I had just bought the V3X, or maybe I bought it the year before. So 2 years ago I bought it. And got used to it, got to shooting it really good, had no issues with it. Fell in love with it. 33-inch axle to axle. Um, just really fell in love with the longer bow, felt more sturdier. I'm not a gigantic guy, but I'm 6'1", long arms. So I think the longer axle to axle helped me. And then the shot just felt that much smoother. I'm not brand whatever. I'm not one of those guys. Don't care to hear this bow's better. Don't care. I've shot several, and I like the whatever with Matthews. It's not a sponsor. Gladly take a sponsorship. That's not a sponsor. That's just how I am. So anyway, so over the summer, I got to shooting, and I was shooting really good with the bow. How it was. No change of anything from the previous year. And was starting to feel confident. And then I don't remember what happened. I got to where I guess maybe I was shooting so much, and I lied. I will back up. I changed my arrows. So I was shooting the airstrikes, and they're just a little bit higher price tag than the Easton Axis. And there's nothing against the Axis. I think I just changed something, and my mind took over and did whatever it did. So I naturally developed target panic after shooting for a little while with the Easton Axis arrows. So over the summer, I started shooting a lot, and started developing that, kinda got over it, come back, yada yada. There was really no, like, ultimate, "It's gone," you know? So all that's to say, I had that kinda going into the season, and it kinda lingered, you know? But so anyway, so fast forward, that was around August. I really hit it hard shooting the bow. September, I was still shooting, getting ready, everything was getting dialed, or trying to get dialed. Um, Went to my buddy, I call him my buddy, Levi. I call you my buddy. Levi, the LA, Louisiana bow hunter guys. I went and hung out with them. For a weekend, we went and ran alligator lines. First time I've ever done that. They called me up over the summer, said, "Hey, we'd love for you to come out there and hang out with us, shoot some content, photos, all this, that, and the other." And that's everybody's seen, most of that already. The video of that weekend kind of recap is on the Louisiana Bow Hunter YouTube channel. So go check that out. I'll try to link that down below. So that was a good time. Had a blast. Got to meet Levi, got to meet Locke, Colin, Michael Pepper, some of Levi's family, kinfolk, cousins, this, that, and the other, and their friends. Good group of guys. Had a blast. Cut up. Had so much fun. Hopefully, I get to go back and do that again this year. That was the first time I've ever done that, and that was fun. We got to fight them. We got to do the whole nine. So, um, went and hung out with them. We actually caught, trap, whatever you want to call it, caught some good sized gators. The weekend that I was there, I think we caught some around 8 foot, or like one that was like 7, one that was 9, and one, the biggest one was like 11, if I'm not mistaken. So we got some good sized ones. So they went back, and we had found a bar pit that they've got access to, and it had a giant in there. I'm not lying to you. We saw it at the edge of the bank, just its head, and I'm not lying. Its head had to be this big. It was huge. Uh, so we knew that we wanted to set there, and actually, the last day we set there, we set a couple lines. It broke one, it bent the hook, I think, on another one, and then maybe it broke off another line. So we didn't have what we needed for that size gator. But we had caught, no issue with the line or the rope, whatever that we had previous. So, anyways, they went back that weekend and caught it. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like 12, 13 foot, huge gator. They sent me pictures. And of course, I wish that I would have been there to be able to fight it and do all that, help them with it. But they said they had time because the bank on the bar pits was steep, hard to get to. Just they said they had a time fighting that sucker. So, but would have been fun nonetheless. So that was that. That was September. Um, then didn't really do much after that. Still, getting ready, starting to kind of work on lease and hunting clubs and family land and stuff that I hunt. Um, Excuse me. So then we went to going into October 1st. That weekend was squirrel season weekend at the camps at my buddy Aaron's camp in the swamp. And obviously big tradition, there. Everybody goes out, excuse me. Everybody goes down there, have a blast. Squirrel hunt opening day of squirrel season, and typically the rest of the weekend, but mostly it's just just kind of everybody getting together and hanging out. So that's always a good time, getting to see people, spend time, make memories, and all that. Had my little one down there. Well, she was at a friend's camp, but got to see her. So, no big, whatever, no big production, but everybody goes and around and just hangs out, and like I said, just a tradition, I guess, around the swamp that weekend. So, made a squirrel season hunt, or squirrel opening day hunt, and I don't know. I think we killed a few. It wasn't that many squirrels. Everybody was saying there wasn't that many. So hopefully this year will be a little bit better because last year was terrible, pretty terrible. So we did that. Roasted a hog. Aaron's dad always roast a hog on Sunday. So we always help him and have everybody over at his camp, their camp, whatever, for that day. So that was the first weekend in October. Um, and I've got some kind of little bullet points. So if you see me looking, that's what I'm looking at. So, anyways, so October 7th, I had went to Piney Woods. I'm not gonna say where, just because I'm not going to. And was scouting, found some deer sign, and went to make an evening hunt one evening. Got there like 2. I think I got set up in my tree at like 2, 1 or 2 o'clock. I typically like to get there pretty early, just especially early season. I don't have really my system dialed in as far as climbing a tree, saddle hunting, and all that. Um, which, by the way, I'll segue. Perfect time for this. So this year, I ran the tethered one sticks. I'm not saying they're the absolute best because I haven't tried every one of them. Those suckers are the ticket. Hey, tethered, I'll take another sponsorship there. Uh, they're the best that I've used, and I have no reason to change them. I actually ordered another one. I was using 3 with aiders. I actually ordered another one since season ended. So next year I'll have 4 with aiders. I might not have to run the aiders, but I've got them if I need. So, best sticks I've ever used. They're super light, easy to pack, just phenomenal. And here's another sponsorship opportunity. Latitude, you did it right. You did it right. I don't remember what the name of their saddle is. Excuse me. But the double panel saddle that they just came out with this year was so comfortable. I'm the type that I will sit dark to dark, pre-rut, rut, post-rut, doesn't matter. Throughout the season. Do I have anything going on today? Nope. I'll sit from dark to dark all the time. I bought that saddle like midway through October, and I definitely wish I would have bought it sooner. I had another saddle. I'm not going to dog them, so I'm not going to say what name it is. Doesn't really matter. They're never going to see this probably, but just the fact that that Latitude saddle it made my season that much better by being able to hunt that much longer. Uh, so yeah, I bought that, and which let me see. I got to see what name of the saddle it is. The Method 3. How could I forget that? The Method 3 saddle. Latitude knocked it out the park with that one. It's just the comfortability and like I went and tried it on at a store around town and just the comfortability of it. Comfort sure sounds good. Comfortability of it. Yep. But you can adjust it. You can get it to it's a double panel. So like I said, you can put one panel up high on your lower back. The other one you can kind of sit in it a little bit lower. Phenomenal saddle. Method 3 by Latitude, worth checking out. It's pricey, but it's worth checking out. So anyway, so back to the hunt that I made. So I got there, like I said, 2 o'clock. I'm sitting there for I don't know, maybe an hour, and I heard something coming through the woods, and I was like, doesn't sound deery, and it wasn't. It was about 7 or 8 hogs, good sized hogs too. I watched them feed and root and do this, that, and the other, and squeal for about. I think I should have some video of that. That I got on my camera before I got just burnt out from videoing. But I sat there for a little while and watched them, and I don't know, maybe 10 minutes later, one kind of came to me a little bit. It was like 25 yards. And I was like, sucker's about to get right up under my tree. And sure enough, it did. It was like 10, 15 steps from me whenever I shot it. I shot it. It ran 30, 40 yards, fell over. The wildest thing I've ever seen before. I've killed hogs before, but I've never watched them do what they did. So I guess it was like a defense mechanism that kind of triggered. So as soon as I shot it, it ran off, fell over, died. All the other ones kind of scattered and ran away, and then they came back, and it was like they were forming, like they were standing around it. Like, I mean, these are 40, 50 pound pigs, and then there's a big one, which I assume was mama, but they were sitting like around it in a circle kind of, and you would see one kind of like nudging to get it up. It was the craziest thing ever, but the noises they were making, it was unreal. So anyway, so I got out, I posted pictures on it. It wasn't a big one, like I said, but I I got down and got it. drug over to my tree, and then I continued my hunt. Um, I didn't see anything that day, and throughout the rest of October, I hunted, and I didn't really see anything. Or maybe I don't remember if I shot the doe on the hunting club in October, if that was November. I shot at. I don't know. I shot at a doe, and that kind of goes back to the target panic thing, to where it didn't really make sense because I shot like low and to the right of her. I don't know. I couldn't understand what it, either me punching or something wasn't. I don't know. Just I don't know. I was a nervous wreck this year. So I hunted on and off in October after that. So October 27th went on the Missouri trip. Um, Obviously there was I was by myself, so I had to kind of rough it a little bit at the beginning, and then later on the rest of the guys showed up. But so the first 2 nights I had to sleep. Well, the first night, first night I got there in Missouri. I'm not gonna say where at, but I went to a Walmart and I slept in the truck in the parking lot. It was like 20 or 30 degrees, so I had the windows cracked. I was in my sleeping bag and in the front seat of my truck because I'm loaded down with stuff because I haven't unpacked yet. Uh, not the best sleep I've ever had at all. So that was miserable. I woke up, I tossed and turned 100 times. There's so many people obviously in the parking lot, but I was kind of parked towards the back of it. It didn't matter. There was traffic in and out, people talking, just noise, just not a good sleep. So I woke up at like, I don't know, 5 o'clock that morning and just was miserable, cold because the sleeping bag was only doing so much. And the windows were obviously cracked. So it was just not a good night's sleep. So I woke up and I was like, all right, I've got to make it happen by myself. I knew where I wanted to be at, but I didn't know exactly where in that area I needed to be at. So I struck out, went scouting, changed by the truck out there, got in my hunting clothes, backpack, bow, everything. I'm slipping, scouting, whatever. I think it was raining or misting that day. The first couple of days I was up there, it had terrible weather. So I, but terrible weather in the sense of rain, but it brought in the cold weather, which was perfect. So I strike out and I went walking around the woods. I found some sign. I found a good bit of sign, but it was such a weird, like last year, the area looked so much different than what it did this year. It was so much undergrowth that had happened. I'm not going to say too much on why that happened because it'll probably give away a little bit. But so, anyways, there was a change in scenery. The place was kind of unhuntable. It was just weird. Um, so I started slipping around and I actually walked up on a buck and a doe. I don't know what they were. I mean, I don't know how big they were, what he was, whatever. But I got in the edge of this thicket on this high line and I heard him grunting. I heard deers walking at first, and then I heard him grunting, and he was just kind of trailing behind her. So I was like, okay, this is kind of where I need. Maybe it's where I need to be at, you know. And I kind of grunted a little bit. I had my bow with me, but he never really came to me. Never gave me. I never saw anything. So, anyways, I kept walking, and then eventually I walked off. So then I went to another spot that we call the pinch, and I went and scouted it. Basically just really I'm not like I said, I'm not gonna give away too much, but it pinches down and then you've got kind of like a transition area here, and then the more you go through it, it opens up and then it goes into a bedding area. So I knew that that was a good bedding area that needed to hunt at. Um, but I just like it once again. I saw a buck where I first walked through, so I was gonna kind of hunt that area and see if I could see what it was. See if they were sticking close to it. So that was the first day. What I do? So then after that, at lunchtime, I went set up tent. I got me some lunch. I waited. I had to wait for lunchtime for the state park to open up, so I could get my spot. I did all that, set up tent, set up basically my camp, which is just in a tent spot in a RV or a state park. Um, so did all that, and then I went back out to the woods, scouted around a little bit, and I think I set up. Oh, it was. I didn't write this down because I forgot about it. What another nightmare. So I went towards the bedding area. I had the wind was blowing. The wind was kind of blowing, like from the bedding area down the way that I walked in. So I knew that I was downwind of the bedding area if they would have walked out of it. Um, what I didn't think would happen or know would happen would be that evening that I would be set up with the wind blowing to a big 10 point, not a freaking giant, but a really good sized 10 point. Uh, and he walked out, and actually, right at dark, it was the wildest thing. He walks down the trail that I came in on and was starting to go to this scrape that was basically towards the kind of going to the bedding area, which I was set up for them to walk out. So I saw the scrape. If they would have walked out of the bedding area going that way, then I would have been able to shoot at one like 30, 35 yards. But instead, what he did was he walked down this way and it was going to the bedding area like that, or just scent checking, just waiting to see if there was a doe and hot or whatever. So he walks out, and whenever I first see him, it's crazy how these animals work. Um, he was walking out and he was limping on his front left. He was limping so hard, and I was like, "Golly, he's beat up, banged up." Just like I said, just a good mass, big 10 point. Um, and then he got like I don't know 25 yards from me, and he was behind a tree, and he just locked up. He caught my scent. Obviously, I'd been scouting all day long, so he he busted me. He winded me, but he just sat there. And you can see him just sticking his nose up and he's licking his nose and freshening those glands, his scent up and whatnot. And he sat behind a tree to where like his head was kind of blocking or blocked by it, and his shoulder, like all like where you didn't want to be blocked was blocked by it. So I sat there and watched and watched and watched. And I'm on the backside of the tree, so he never saw me. He just caught me, my smell. And I remember looking and I was like, golly, if he just takes two more steps, I'd have had him. Or I could have shot at him, put it right behind his shoulder. So I remember looking, I done hung my bow up on my hanger because he was locked. He'd been there, stopped for a minute. And I was getting tired. So I hung my bow back up, and I remember just sitting there and I looked around the left side of the tree, and I remember seeing him still just backside. You could see his guts all the way to his tail. And I was sitting there just looking, and I was like, golly. I came back behind a tree for a second, and as soon as I went around the right hand side of my tree, he was gone. Like, nowhere to be found. It was like he just spawned in and just picked up off the world. Just gone, floated off. Never heard him, never saw him, never anything. And I wasn't behind a tree but for like 10 seconds. And not that whatever, the sucker came in limping like he could barely hardly like walk. So I was like, what the heck happened? Like just completely just dumbfounded. And I looked and looked and looked and I binoed and looked and I never found him. Never saw the deer ever again. Craziest scenario, not the craziest. One of the crazier scenarios I've ever been in because like I said, he came in, stopped, sat there forever, went around the left side of the tree, and this is all happened in like 10 minutes. Left side of the tree, he's there. Okay, cool. Got behind the tree and then went around the right. Nope, gone. Like, what in the world? So that was day one. Could have been bucked out day one. Um, so I went went back. I finished the hunt out and went back to my tent, and the storm came in. Storm front came in. Was not prepared for it, but we made it through. Um, So so the tent that I had, I've never slept in it in the rain, so I wasn't sure that this was gonna happen. But basically, I don't know if I just didn't waterproof it and I needed to, or if it just had a leak. I mean, I know part of it, it had a leak because it was coming through the zipper on the front door. Um, so I woke up and the water had been dripping on my suit, on my sleeping bag and my foot. My feet were cold. I was cold. I wasn't prepared for all of it. And I had water in my tent. Not a not covering the entire floor, but the door of it was for sure soaking. I mean, it had like standing water like that much. I guess I was kind of on an incline a little bit. So, anyways, so I woke up to that and I was like, this is miserable. Um, so I woke up that next day, went out, hunted. Uh, I scouted a little bit and I uh I didn't see anything. I hunted the spot where I walked up on the buck chasing a doe, and I didn't see anything. Uh, so then I hunted for a couple more days. I moved to the pinch area then, back to the pinch. Uh, and I hunted there. One morning I saw a doe walking from the same spot that the 10 point had come from. And I was like, all right, there's something with this. They're using that area, you know. So I got down that morning after the hunt and I moved over and hung my saddle and all that. And I think I went out again for lunch, maybe. Anyways, so I came back, hunted that evening, didn't see anything. But the next morning, so now, I might have skipped a couple days, but I know now we are on October 31st. So 27th, I got there that night. Now we're on the 31st. And it's that morning. It's the morning, literally. Another nightmare. So early that morning, I had a doe, young doe, little maiden doe. She just kept coming through. She would come in and she'd just go out. And then next thing I know, I'd see her again. She'd come in and she'd go out, and she'd go in. And I just saw her like several times, and then I'd see a little buck start kind of chasing, bumping around her. And I was like, man, what is going on? You know, this is something to this. Uh, so she went out, and I think it's like 8:20, 8:30. I saw a bigger doe come in, and I'm like, okay, still, I'm like here for a week and a half on this trip. I'm shooting something, and the rest of the guys haven't even gotten here. So I uh I go, or she goes out. The big doe come in, and she got like 20 yards from me, and I drew back and I shot. And I shot her a little bit high, but it was perfect where I wanted, like right behind the shoulder. So I was like, that was weird, you know? I don't know why. I guess I ranged her. I guess I guessed her distance because I didn't have time to range her. She came in, as soon as I saw her, she was under me, 15, 20 yards from me, just like that, you know? So I shot her. She ran off, and I was like, I'm looking at my, I pulled my binos and I'm looking at my arrow and I see blood on it. I'm like, cool. I got better shot than I thought. Uh, but I knew it was still high. So about 10, 15 minutes passes, and I looked over and I saw something. It was a deer, and I was like, where'd that deer come from? Because she kind of came in from back behind me, got broadside to me, and then went away from me, opposite of, out in front of me a little bit, and then kind of turned back left. I was like, is that same doe? Like, I shot her a while ago, And so I pull my binos up and I'm looking, and it is her, but she's walking very funny. And I got to looking, and you just see blood just painting her side. Like, you can see the shots high, but she's just bleeding, just unreal amount, just covering her left side of her, which would have been the exit. And I was like, that's the doe I just shot. What the heck? So she kind of goes and goes back to that kind of transition area, that thicket. And I just watched her walk off. And I'm like, that don't make no sense. I mean, I'm thinking maybe high lung or, a piece of the lung, but high, it's just weird. And so I sat there still, obviously. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm texting buddies, I think I shot her. I think I got a deer, so on and so forth. So a couple minutes after that, I see another doe walk out. And I'm like, this ain't that same doe, surely, huh? Like, this can't be her. It isn't. It's the young doe. And what unfolded after this, I have no answer for other than I just sucked. Um, so I saw her walk out. This is 100 yards off through kind of thicket and whatnot. I saw her walk out and she stopped and I looked behind her and there's a big 8 point. I mean, 4-year-old deer, 4.5-year-old deer. He ain't no young one. He's a good deer. And I see just big, tall, white horns. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, get ready. But he kind of walks to the left, kind of like where the doe that I shot went. He didn't really trail this young one. And I'm like, come on, man. So naturally, I'm like I grunted a little bit at him or whatever. It ain't 30 seconds later. This sucker beeline, he gets right behind her. She walks right in front of me, and then he's coming. I'm drawn back. It's like, it's about to happen. So he gets like, I don't know, 25, 30 from me. I put it right where I want it to be. And I shoot, and I shoot under him. And I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? Like, no, not like this. I'm supposed to be done again. Not like this. And he just kind of like bounces a little bit and stops. So I'm like, shh, I'll dump the mag. I don't care. So I put another one on and I draw back. He starts kind of walking off again. Now I'm like hanging around my tree. Not, look, I didn't make a bad shot, but I wasn't very like firm in and when I shot. I'll admit to that. I have no problem admitting to that. But after the first couple of days that I had, I was like, I'm about to shoot him. So, anyways, I pull back and I shoot and I shot under him again. And I'm like, what's going on, man? He runs off and then finally just, stops and he went into that bedding area like they're supposed to. And I was like, okay, whatever. This is something I got to figure out what's going on with my bow. So I think I got down and I went to go check. I went to get my arrows. Um, so I got down. I got the one covered in blood naturally, and I went and got the two that I shot at him, and I was like, "What is going on?" Uh, so hold on, because I think my buddies would check me. I shot at another doe before the buck. I did. I did. I shot another doe. I shot at another doe. So I hit one deer and I missed two deer all in the same morning. So I say it was that morning. So I had 4 arrows on the ground that I had to go and get. Uh, so what a year. Uh, so I go and I start blood trailing this doe and I'm getting, 100, 200 yards into it. And I'm like, I don't know about this. And I got to the edge of the thicket, the little transition area, whatever. And I think I bumped her, and I was like, "Nope, done this before." So I backed out. It's like I'm just gonna let her die. I'm not gonna sit here and keep bumping her and doing all that. Not happening. I've done it too many times. It's not worth it. So I backed out. I went and ate lunch. Kind of try to gather my thoughts on what all happened, and so yeah, so that was that morning. And I don't believe anything else happened that evening. So I went back the very next morning, because I still had my tree still had my tree there or my stand there. And and then I walked up on some guys from Pennsylvania, and one guy wanted to hunt near me, and I was like, or he wanted to hunt kind of where the transition area was. I was like, man, I don't care, whatever. It's public land. I'm not gonna tell you you can't, but I'll help you if you need help. So he had texted me that I got his number. I was like, look, we're gonna do this. Let's hunt together. And there was another guy with him that was hunting back where I found the first day. Um, cool guys, nice guys. Nothing wrong with them. We all work together. Um, but so he saw a decent rack buck that morning. Um, so then I got down and I went to go find that doe, and I just ran out of blood and there was no deer left. So I don't know what happened. I guess I hit her backstrap and nothing vital was hit, not a lung or anything like that. I have no idea. Um, so yeah, so that's oh man, what a trip. So now we go to I'm burnt out on this spot. Not to mention there was also a Missouri local, who was hunting with a kid, two kids. It was two kids. Was hunting with two kids for a gun hunt for that weekend. It was for the, youth hunt or whatever. They must have shot every deer in the area because I heard more shots than I did on squirrel season weekend down here. And every one of them, he said, "Yeah, I got to talking to him." He's like, "Yeah, well, he shot one, and then he missed another one. Then we brought him over here, and he shot this one." I'm thinking, I gotta go somewhere else. I'm done with this area. This area is not it's not working out for me. I gotta go somewhere. So I did. I packed up my stuff. I didn't find my doe. They said they shot a deer or the leg off of a buck, or and didn't find the buck or something like that. Was going back to find it or something. I was like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. So, um, I went to a different spot and never hunted there before. Uh, no, let me back up. I scouted a spot that I've hunted before, didn't see anything, made an evening hunt there, just needed to get away from people. Uh, and didn't see nothing. Then I went and I was talking to somebody, one of the guys in they had a couple of the guys had gotten in already, and so we were waiting on the rest of them. Uh, so they were talking about this spot, this little small conservation area, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go hunt it. Um, Once again, not gonna give too many details on it. It's a good spot, and if I go this year, I will be back there without a doubt. So slept in one morning because I've been grinding hard, day like dark to dark all week. Sleeping in tent, slept in a hotel one night, and then finally we got our Airbnb. Um, so I told him, I said, I'm going to another spot. I'm going to find something new and figure it out. And I did. I walked in there that morning. Uh, I think I slept in, got there at like 9 o'clock, and this is kind of off in the hills, big hills. So there's these big, gigantic ridges. Unreal how tall these ridges are. Just straight drop off, just about. So I walked up one on this kind of a point of it, and I bumped a doe. And I was like, all right, cool, something there. I figured they were going to be on top of it. Uh, and I kept going to the edge of the conservation area, and I saw a buck run, a decent buck, not a big one. And then I saw another big one, wide, just as wide as can be. Ran right behind him, and I said, I'll be here tomorrow. So I that morning, that next morning, I went and I hunted a little bit further off. Yeah, I hunted further off from where I saw him at because I believe the wind was kind of blowing to him. So no, I don't remember. I don't remember what it was doing. I hunted further off towards that point, and I saw a buck come from the bottom side of it, from the south side, and he was going right up to the top of that ridge, and then he went to the north side, down the bottom of it. I was like, okay, something here with this. And then that was like 10 o'clock. Well, then at like lunchtime or 2 o'clock, I saw him come back. I was like, okay, is this, what's going on? I've never hunted like this, like a spot like this, what's actually happening here? Um, and then lo and behold, a couple hours later, I saw the sucker going back south to north. So he's just cruising, but he was cruising from the south end, going to the top of that ridge, and then going down the north end. I don't know what he's doing. Never, like I said, never seen anything like that before. I was like, okay. So I I moved. I had in my mind 100 all day. That was from daylight to dark. The next morning I went over and I moved over like 100 yards, 80, 100 yards or so, trying to get closer to him. But I think the wind was blowing away from them. No, I went past where I saw him cross at, and the wind was blowing from where I was. It was switching that morning. So it was blowing east to west. I got on the west side of where I saw him crossing. So I go there the next morning. I get in the tree, no big deal. Sitting there, plenty of dark, left before I got to, like, I was settled in my tree and it was still dark. So I'm sitting there listening and I hear something walking. I'm like, probably him. And it was. He had moved over. I moved over and then he moved over as well. He walked down from that south side, got up about 40 yards behind me, caught my wind, and never blew, never nothing, just like a buck would do. Blew, stomped, and then ran. And I was like, good. This is perfect. This is awesome. So I hunted all day, never saw him again. But I knew that was where I wanted to be at. Um, so I hunted. I think I got down for lunch, took a nap, something. Uh, then I went back in. I went in. It was like the last day. I think I've skipped a little bit here and there in this story, but this is towards the last day of the trip. Um, I walked in and I didn't see. No, I lied. I saw him walk the same trail that morning at like 8 o'clock, but the wind had done swapped coming from west to east. Or it was blowing a west wind that day. So I was downwind of him, but he was like 80 yards. Saw him, watched him, not responding to a call at all, just completely in his own little world. And I was like, that's perfect. But he was doing that same thing, going south end of that high ridge, topped it, and then went down the north end, and never saw him again the rest of that day. It's like, cool. So I hunted, hunted all day because I had like 2 days left, I think, before I had to be home. So this was like one of my last hunts left. And I sat there and it was getting dark, or it was getting like 4 o'clock. And I had a little 4 point come to my downwind of me. Sat there like 20 yards and just sat and just looked and looked, and he never was bothered the first bit. He just sat there, did his own little thing, just gave me, I guess it made me appreciate everything, because I like watching them just as much. So that happened. Texted the guys in the group. I was like, I just saw a little one. Naturally they were all joking, you should have shot it after all that. I was like, nope, he ain't legal. I mean, obviously they were joking. So I looked down from the same way and I caught a glimpse of something move, and I was like, this is like 30 minutes later. I was like, what was that? I bino up, and he's about 120 yards from me, and it's a big one, and I'm like, oh my God. So naturally I texted him and I was like, big one coming. He was not pointing my direction. He was not looking at me, nothing. And lo and behold, just as soon as I texted that, he turned and he beeline right to me. And so now I'm like freaking out because I'm setting up to shoot left side. So now I've got to turn all the way around and shoot my weak side. I'm on this ridge. I'm on this platform, saddle hunting. So I'm like turned around, back to the tree. My tether's over my shoulder, holding me, and I'm looking this way. So I was ranging, getting a couple spots. 'Cause I knew I wasn't going to be able to whenever he got close. And so there was a log or a tree. The butt end of it was like 30, I believe. I think it was 30 or 35. And actually, I'm shooting down like, a ridge. Just it goes straight down. I feel like. Uh, so I'm ranging. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, whenever he kept walking, he walked that same direction. And whenever I finally pulled back, he had walked a little bit more down of it, and I wasn't able to range. And I just put it, right where I would have. And he was at 40 when I shot, so naturally I shot under him, and I missed him. And the story continued. So after that, I was gassed. I was done. I'd been through whatever I did with the big buck and missing the doe and not getting her, and uh, yeah. So that concluded the Missouri trip. I came home a day early. All the guys were like, "You need to hunt, one more," and I was like, "That was the ninth inning for me, boss. I'm done. I'm over. It's over. I got to go home and take a mental break." So I get back home and November kind of drags out. I hunt the lease that we have and saw deer, just small deer I didn't want to shoot. So we get towards the end of November and I went to Thanksgiving Day. I pulled out the rifle and I hunted over there that morning. Had lunch with my mom and Carter, my little one, was there. And so we did, turkey lunch, turkey dinner, whatever, lunch. Her mom picked her up and I was like, I've got time. I can go make it to the stand. I'm going to go and just sit somewhere I've never sat on this piece of property looking for one buck. The buck that we have been after for a couple years now. So I went and found a tree on the end of this shooting lane where we kind of feed at, and we hadn't really been feeding over there. And I was 2 sticks up, and I had no intention of seeing anything. No whatever. Well, so I got set up at like 3:45, and at 4:15ish, the buck that we had been after for 3 years now, that had given us the slip, that didn't show up until October 25th on the property because he was during the summertime. He was 2 miles down the road. Got video of him in velvet. Um, my biggest deer to date. A deer with just unique features, but just a bull, that deer. Uh, he walked out at 4:15, and I shot him with the rifle, and he ran 70 yards and fell over. And as soon as that happened, it just like I don't get really shook up. Not that I don't enjoy it. I guess I've just been able to tell my mind to overcome that. And I didn't get shook up before the shot, but as soon as I shot, it was like everything that I had gone through in November in Missouri and then October and just, everything. It was like it all just unloaded, like just completely. I don't know. It was such a weird whatever. I mean, it's a good feeling. Don't get me wrong, but it was like it all just kind of. It was a deep breath, I guess I would call it. Um, so got down. I watched where he fell. I got down, I went and put hands on him, FaceTime dad, this, that, and the other, called everybody, the whole thing, and it was just, man, it was just a relief because like I said, it had been a weird season for me so far. Um, but nonetheless, I mean, everything happens for a reason. So I don't know, but so did that. That was no Thanksgiving Day, November 27th. So now we're back. We're back. We're spirits are high. Now we'll go to the 30th. I was over at my buddy's house. We are just hanging out. We were getting ready. I didn't think about this. We were getting ready to go on our Arkansas trip for a weekend. Getting ready, meal prepping stuff and kind of prepping, getting ready for all that. And my daughter calls me and FaceTimes me. And I'm sitting there thinking, she don't really FaceTime me that much. Something's up. So as soon as I answer, she's sitting in a box stand. And I'm like, all right, what's going on here? And she's got this little smirk to her, little cockiness about her. I guess she gets that from me. But she's she FaceTimes me and she was like, I'll never forget this. She goes, told you. I was like, what are you talking about? And then she turns the camera to the shooting lane. She was with her stepdad, Lee, and she had shot her doe, her first deer. So that was a proud moment for me. So we talked and whatnot, and she was all proud, and I was proud, and her mama and I were talking this, that, and the other, and uh naturally, I told Lee, "Thank you for bringing her and whatnot," because I wanted her to get one. I wanted it to be with me, but I didn't care. I just wanted to finally get one, because we had hunted a few times this year, but we just didn't see anything. Um, so Lee was able to get it done for her, bring her there, and knock one out. So that was a good little 3 days or so, and made, I guess, the highlight of my year. My season was definitely her getting hers. Mine was good and all, but I'd give up mine for her 100 times. So anyway, so fast forward to December 2nd, we went to Arkansas on public land. Not once again, not gonna say where we're at, uh, but it's a spot that I don't know if I'll be back. Uh, they've got weird rules, and if anybody watches this, they will probably know where I'm talking about, and that's fine. But we went during bow season, so it wasn't that many people, uh, and we were kind of trying to time the rut, or a little bit of the later rut, I guess. Um, we had no luck. We had absolutely no luck. We got up there. This was a tenting. We tented the whole time. We all had our own tents. Aaron slept in the back of his truck in his camper shell, air mattress, blow up mattress that popped, and then just look. That was nothing but memories there, and those memories I'll never forget. But I mean, it was just rain and it was cold. Our firewood was wet. I had a tent. I bought a tent from Amazon. It's this big, gigantic 10-foot round, 12-foot round tent, 8 foot tall. The best purchase I could have made for that trip, because I going back to the Missouri trip, I was not sleeping in that tent ever again. So we all had our little setup, and we had camp kitchen and all this set up. And look, we ate good, we had good times, we enjoyed it, sat around what little bit of a fire we could make. There's an inside joke that I think probably will carry on from here on out, that they'll give me whatever for, because I would like to tinker with the fire and this, that, and the other. Um, but like I said, just memories. Hopefully, tradition that's formed by it. Our another little different group of friends that made a yearly hunting trip happen. But we didn't have any luck as far as hunting up there. We saw a bunch of pigs. Um, couldn't get on deer. Could see deer, just couldn't get on them. Just weird. I don't know. That spot hunted differently. I don't know if it was because of the rules that they had set, or if it was just the spot in general. But 3 days to go up there and figure out how to, kill a couple deer is just, it's tough, especially if it's brand new to you. But yeah, so That was I mean, I hunted a little bit after that with rifle towards the end of December, and, I didn't really see anything, uh, and then I didn't really get burned. I don't know, it's hard to say because I always feel like towards the end of the year, it's like I've been grinding since October, and down here, towards the end of the year, it's really starting to get good, but I had the Missouri trip, which was, I think, 10 or 11 days of just nonstop hunting. Um, and then I had, the Arkansas trip, but just throughout the year, I hunted, like I said, so hard this year, and the most that I have as far as time in the stand. But yeah, towards the end of December, I made a couple duck hunts. And then I just, uh, I missed another buck on my family land with the rifle. And I think that kinda deflated me. It was like I said, everything was just kinda piled up. I don't know, just a very weird year. I don't know. I don't know what all my mind wasn't in it. It was in it, but it wasn't it wasn't locked in, I guess. I don't know. So, that, that pretty much wraps it up. Like I said, I uh made a couple duck hunts in the woods and killed a few, nothing really crazy, but I don't know. It was a weird year. I just talked for 57 minutes right now, and I didn't think that this would go this long. Um, yeah, there's a little bit that I'm probably leaving out that others will probably ask about, but I think that says enough with all of that I just listed for an hour. I don't know, man. I hope it's a better year this year. Um, and then I started trapping in the January, so that kinda took up the last month of hunting season for me. So, I got off on that. I'm not gonna get off on a tangent on that, it's a whole different real topic, whatever. But that's fun. I've kinda fallen in love with that. I've still got traps out, and I guess that's kind of all that I'll leave that at, so but yeah, like I said, I don't know, it's the first for me. I've never really done this. Um, I don't know. I think I'll continue doing it. Obviously, feedback is appreciative. Uh, this will be. I'll post this to everywhere. Um, I don't know. I don't want it to be a podcast. I definitely don't want it to be that. I think this is kind of a for me thing, and I'm gonna. It's for me, but I'm gonna post it so others can. I guess you. I guess it's open for people to bounce off of it. Well, This happened to me before, and I don't want it to be a I don't want it to be a podcast. I just kind of look, here's the raw side of hunting. Here's, how whatever I am about it, and here's what brings me joy. And I think that people kind of know that about me, but they don't know all of these details. Like there's so much more that I could have talked about in Missouri that really didn't have any weight to anything, but that happened that nobody they just think I just went to Missouri, and then Arkansas. I mean, just little things like that. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But I think that's all for it. I think that wraps it up pretty good. Uh, I did end up getting my buck that I killed mounted. Um, just simple fact, he's my biggest. He's not giant. I don't care about score. I didn't score him. I don't really care to know what he scores, I don't think. If I do, it's literally just for me to know, to kind of gauge going forward. I'm not a big buck only purist or whatever. I've killed my small deer. Not to get off on a tangent on this, but I don't care what he scored, and I don't care what other people's deer score either. If there's a reason for you, if that deer brings you what you desire when you went hunting, then shoot it. If it's a small deer, if it's a young deer, whatever. Like I don't care. Now on the flip side of that, like don't say that you want to grow big deer and you want to see big deer and you want to shoot big deer, but you don't let young deer walk. I think that's the fine line on that. Is like I don't care what you do, but don't tell me you want this to happen and then you're not helping that happen. I don't know. I think the state anyway, I don't want to get off on that. I'm not going to. Anyways, so yeah, since this will be posted on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me some stories that you've experienced, the good and the bad and the ugly. I don't care. I'll listen to them. Uh, yeah, how'd you overcome things? Stuff like that. Um, but anyways, so that's it. So I guess this is, I don't know, episode one of the journal, the video journal. I don't know. I'm awkward in ending this, but this is just me. So anyways, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next one.